Hi everyone, it's your friendly OT here in Lawrence, and today I'm joined by Michael Califoot, who happens to be a medical massage therapist, and he's also my father-in-law, so I'm so glad that he's here with us. Today we will be talking about stretches and exercises that will help prevent chronic pain brought about by repetitive movement patterns. I know during this time, a lot of people are working from home, sitting in front of a computer, sitting on chairs and desk for a long period of time. So it's important to keep our joints and keep our muscles protected and make sure that we're moving throughout the day and making sure that we're being proactive in taking care of our bodies. Because if our body goes, then our productivity goes with it as well. So one of the main issues right now is that when we're sitting in front of our computer, we tend to have a bad posture, and all of our muscles, like our anterior muscles, are being moved, but our posterior muscles aren't being activated. So Michael over here knows a lot about that and how to keep our bodies engaged and activated and well balanced throughout the workday. So go ahead and share us your knowledge on how to keep our bodies protected, or go ahead and first start talking about the muscles that are at play when we're working throughout the day.
Well, basically what's happening is muscles work very simply physically. In physics, you have an action, and then you have to have a reaction. So you have agonist, antagonist. So in order to flex your bicep muscle, your tricep muscle has to stretch. So what happens when we're sitting down and doing work, because everything we do as human beings, we're programmed because of our eyes and how our body works, that we're doing everything in front of us or slightly to the side of us. So when you're sitting at a computer or doing any kind of work in front of yourself, like I'm a massage therapist, my work is very, very strong, and you just can't keep doing the same repetitive motion because you're flexing all of the anterior muscles, but you're not doing the same for your posterior muscles. They all have to stretch, but it's not a friendly stretch. They're being stretched in a way that they're supporting the movement in front, but they're not being flexed and allowing the anterior muscles to stretch. So the anterior muscles don't stretch, they're flexed all the time. Our shoulders, especially in this case, our shoulders start inching up towards our ears and rolling forward, and they shorten. And they get very strong, and then they shorten, and that makes an imbalance in the posterior muscles. So what we want to do is we want to balance that out. So how do we do it? Well, we have to do the opposite action.
Right. And
it's like, well, how do I do the opposite action? Well, there's some very simple movements that you can use and repetitively,
right,
to relax yourself and to let those anterior muscles stretch and the posterior muscles flex. And that's it in a nutshell. And our whole body is connected. So what happens up top in our neck and our shoulders is also happening to our lumbar spine and to our hips. So we want to coordinate all of that. We want the shoulders and hips work together, and the cervical spine and the lumbar spine work together.
Right.
So, and then in between the cervical and lumbar spine is the mid-back. So you can have pain in your mid-back when it's being caused actually by the strain in your neck, in your cervical spine, or your lumbar spine, because they both refer
right,
to the mid-back. What happens is, once again, these muscles, so you've got your sternocleidomastoid muscle, your SCM muscle, is this big muscle that you feel on the side of your neck. You've got your levator scapular muscle, which is right behind, it goes from alongside your spine, and it goes to the side of your neck here. And this muscle right here is the one where it says, oh God, right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's its insertion. And all muscles work, they pull from insertion to origin. So that's why you mostly feel the pain in the levator here on your upper posterior shoulder.
I know a lot of people get headaches, right? When they have that. Is that the muscle that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's a big muscle. That's a big piece of it. And the upper trapezius,
Especially if you're typing a lot and your shoulders are in like a flexed and moving a lot.
Yeah, and a stationary position. You know, like you're holding it in a position and making the body work and keeping it in a stationary position while you're working.
Right.
So that affects the deltoid muscles. And when muscles get tight, they put pressure on the nerves, which innervate your arms, your shoulders, your neck. Mm-hmm. So it gets tight up here, and then it stops the proper circulatory flow in and out. So you've got your lymph flow gets impeded, lymphatic flow, which is such an important part of your autoimmune system.
Right.
The muscles being so tight and overworked also put pressure on the nerves. That's the key. You know, you need to undo that, because otherwise, like, you get carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, you feel it here.
Right.
Because that's where the carpal tunnel is, and it's a small area that all the veins, the arteries, the arteries, the muscle tendons to your hand go through, and it's a very small area. So when this gets overworked and this gets swollen here and impeded by the muscle tightness, it actually causes this. So if we can relieve this, usually this gets relieved.
Absolutely.
I'm doing my work. As I do my work, I'm trying to do counter movement as well.
Right.
So
that's
if you're sitting in front of a computer, once you learn some of these simple exercises like the doorway stretch, what you do is you actually just squeeze your mid-back muscles, your upper mid-back muscles, and remember to like make your shoulders go down and back to mid-back.
Yeah.
And you can do that all the time. So, you know, when we're doing a project or we're working on a computer and, you know, we're focused and time goes by quickly, you know. And so I don't know how much, you know, like a time like, okay, stay on the computer for an hour or two. There's recommendations for that out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, and realistically, if you're doing things while you're working on the computer and being aware of your body, you can stop a lot of that progression from happening and then take a break.
Absolutely.
You know, it's an individual decision, but you take a break and then you do something. This doorway stretch that I'm going to show you, you can do this a half a dozen times a day. And, you know, just take a break when you get up to go to the bathroom or have a glass of water or have lunch, or, you know, just incorporate it into your everyday movement and you'll have really good results. In my experience, the most complete exercise, simplest exercise, most complete exercise, you can do it right in your own home, is a personal trampoline. But you need to get a good one. As we age, our circulation to our lower extremities is harder. The silent muscles, the muscles that contract and bring the blood back from the lower extremities, they need to be toned, and this is a great way to tone them. You don't think about flexing those muscles. Those muscles flex themselves. That's how the blood gets back to the heart, the lungs, and filters. And you know, we really don't think about that, but that's how it happens. And if you can keep those systems healthy and flexible, you know, it really helps.
And really, how you mentioned older adults, but it's also very important for kids, developing kids, to be able to move those muscles, especially now that there's not a lot of options, there's not a lot of sports out there, and they're sitting in front of a computer, they're not developing those muscles. It's important that they use a trampoline or do some exercise at home to develop those muscles. Because that's how chronic pain ends up happening, because like muscles in our body aren't developed. So one muscle group's doing most of the work and putting a lot of pressure in that area, causing that pain, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be an athlete to take care of your body.
Absolutely.
You know, you just, you know, like something simple like this, and like a rebounder. A rebounder is the company name, but they're rebounders. They're personal rebounders, personal trampolines. And one important piece on the trampoline is people that have problems with dizziness. Or equilibrium. Or say if, you know, you're a little bigger and like you're not that coordinated. what you can get for these personal trampolines is an attachment that attaches to the rim of the trampoline, and it's basically a pole that stands up, and you can have that there in case you feel a little uncomfortable,
right,
or like you feel a little out of balance. Either that, or you put the trampoline near something, like here's the far infrared sauna. You could put it close to something like a wall so that you could put your hand out and stabilize yourself if you feel like, oh, it's a little too much, or I'm feeling a little lightheaded, or a little uncomfortable,
Yeah, and your brain's gonna adjust it eventually.
Yeah, it will. It will. It definitely will. It's like there's a simple exercise I'll show for people that have equilibrium problems with the crystals in the ears, and it's just very simple. You can look on YouTube. There's a couple other exercises, and that's kind of where I was tipped to this a few years back, that you just want to keep things fluid. You want to keep things fluid, and by keeping things fluid, you're keeping them working. If you've got circulation happening, it's good.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, circulation is good. Why don't we start with those stretches that would help us get ready for the trampoline?
Okay, so the first one, what we're going to do is just, I'm on my knees, and I'm just sitting back a little bit like this. And then I'm just gonna I'm stabilizing myself with my knees, and you can't see my feet, but they're right behind me, stabilizing my lower body. And I'm just gonna put my forehead on the ground, like this. And I'm gonna hold that position for, say, 30 seconds to a minute. And with these exercises, you start off small. Maybe you only do 20 seconds. And eventually, as you get better at it, you add time onto it. So what I like to do is I like to do a count inside my head while I'm doing these, so that I keep it at a level that I know what I'm doing, and I can increase it and know that I'm increasing it. Like you say, 1,000 or 1 Mississippi, and count to 30 or 20, whatever it is for you that you start out with, and then you increase up to. So after you do that one, now you're a little bit stretched, your lower back is stretched, your quads are stretching, your hammies are stretching, hamstrings, and your feet are stretching. So you're back, you come back into this position. Now this exercise is really good if you're having equilibrium problems. So what you do is, all you do is the same exercise we just did, the same movement. Put your head on your forehead flat on the ground, and then what you're going to do is roll forward. So I'm rolling forward to this part of my head, more the crown of my head. And it's a simple movement. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my head and neck, because I'm using my arms to stabilize and control the movement. Okay, so here it is. And then you come back up. So once again, that movement helps tremendously if we're having problems with our equilibrium. When we get up from doing something, we feel dizzy spells, or we feel lightheaded, and this, you just start it slow and do it at your own pace. But this will actually readjust the crystals in your ear and help with your equilibrium. Okay, so after I've done this, I'm going to do a simple exercise where I put my hands, and this is kind of like cat-dog, I believe, in yoga. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my abdomen, squeeze my abdomen, which arches my back, that's the cat, and then come forward, and that's the dog or the cow. So I'm gonna incorporate both of those together like this. So what's happening is I'm moving my cervical spine, my lumbar spine, my shoulders are moving, and it's not a hard movement. It's not like it is a powerful movement, but it's done gently. So that's it. So you do this one. And then you can just go into this position, which opens up the pelvis, the deep inner muscles, like in your lower body. Your lower body is your foundation. Your hips are your foundation. So you want to keep that as flexible and strong as you can. So just by doing this movement, and once again, if you feel a little like awkward and you can't do it, just be near something where you can put your finger out or your hand out and stabilize yourself. But this is the movement. You just stabilize it and you try to like sit and squeeze your shoulders back, and you can put one hand on the other on the right angle leg and just hold it. And you feel it deep in here in your psoas, and you're feeling it in your glutes, and you're feeling it down through your leg. And then what you do is simply you just switch sides. So you hold that, you hold each of these sides for, say start off doing just 20 seconds. And then you work it up to what works best for you. But this really just gets everything flowing in your hara. That's a Zen Shiatsu term for this whole energetic point above your waist, from your groin up into your waist. So you just hold that like this and you breathe. And once again, you can just take your shoulders, drop them back slightly. I'm exaggerating a little so you see it. So I just drop the shoulders back slightly and I kind of sit into this. I'm kind of leaning back. And you just hold that for as long as you can. Let's see, what else can we do? What a friend of mine taught me, I had heard the term plank, and I just never really knew what it was, and someone taught me this about a year ago. And there's an inverted plank and there's different planks to do. But I found that the plank really helps a lot to balance out the musculature and to balance you out from head to your feet. So the plank is just simply, the way I do it is you just come down like this on your forearms. So the pressure's on your forearms and it's equally spread along your back and your legs, and then you just lift up like this, like a push-up sort of, right? And you just hold. You hold it. And you hold it for, say start out once again, 20 seconds. Your head, you see how my head is, I'm not looking down, I'm kind of looking out a little bit because that's extending my spine. And I'm not pushing it really hard, I'm just doing it gently. So you hold that for as long as you can. You can do a couple other exercises from here as you get better at it. Like you could lift and just lean forward. And that helps, so I'm extending everything in my back. And you hold that one for a while, and then you just come back to this position. Now, at the end of this exercise, what I found is really good is you just, I don't know if you've ever had a dog or a cat, you'll see them do this sometimes. They just lay there and it's like they just open their pelvis. So my pelvis is laying on the ground and it's very evenly laying on the ground. And I'm just gonna sit here like that, be in this position for, me, I usually hold it for about 2 minutes like this. And then what this is doing is it's opening up my groin, it's opening up my lower abdomen, and it's relaxing my lower back and all the glute muscles and extending the hamstrings. So that's pretty good for 4 exercises. This is a rebounder. The key with the rebounder, now you could go on it with sneakers. You can go on it with sneakers. You can go on it with, I've just got some flip-flops on with socks. And basically, what you want to do is you just want to have a position. Start your feet in an even position. And this is the movement. This is easy. All I'm starting is a little rocking and letting my body get used to it. And I'll do this for a certain count. Then what I'll do is my feet are in like a duck, a V. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them straight forward, like this, and bounce like this for a certain amount of time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one back to that V and the other one to the right. My right foot pointing to the right. And I'm looking to the right. You do that for the equal amount of bounces. You're just timing it in your head. Or you can have a little timer in front of you. Or look at a clock, set it in on the wall and say, I'm going to do this for a minute. Then you do the opposite. So now I'm looking this way. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm very subtly working all these different muscle groups and incorporating all of these muscles into my movement. So now everything starts getting work. Like right now, I'm getting a circulation and a circulatory pump and a lymphatic pump all the way to my toes. And that's what you want. You want that whole flow. Everything needs to flow. It's kind of like if you have a garden hose and you turn the corner of the house and it was flowing great, and you turn the corner and you go to water the flowers, the roses, and now it's going drip, drip, drip. So what we want to do is we want to keep that hose flowing as fluently as possible, fluidly. Then you come back to this position, and what I'll do is I'll just go up on my toes, and I'll show you this from the back. I'll go up on my toes and like jump rope, right? And then what I'll do, after I do a set of that, I'll go to my heel and jump rope. An equal amount of time. So that's the biggest balance I'm going to do on this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a side to side twist. So I'm helping this, both my sides, and I'm coordinating my whole body this way. And just do this twist. And that's about it. Then I'm done. So I'll do probably about 4 minutes on here. And just a little bit that I'm doing as I'm showing you, I start to breathe heavier because it's a very strong exercise. But I'm not doing flips, I'm not going crazy on it. And I've learned how to do this over time. But all you have to do on this trampoline is basically stand in a position. If this is all you can do at the beginning, great. You'll get your cardiovascular in. It's working every muscle and system in your body in a very, very good, strong way. Oh, when we work in front of ourselves, what happens is the muscles flex, and that pulls the shoulders forward and up towards our neck. So what we want to do is we want to reverse that. This is a doorway stretch, and this is the best way to do it that I found. And the key to the doorway stretch is positioning. It's not how strong you do it. It's just positioning and going into the position in a very relaxed, non-pushy way is the best way to say it. So what you do is you just find a doorway where you can be in the middle of it and you can reach both sides, okay? So what I'm gonna do at the start of the position is you get your feet, your knees, your hips and shoulders all in alignment, and you're gonna be looking forward. So what you do is you find your position, you go into sort of like a downhill ski position where you sit back a little bit, like just sit back a little bit, and at that point you put your fingertips on the top, on the part of the door frame, both sides, where you feel like the top of your shoulders are, what feels like the top of your shoulders from the sitting kind of downhill position. Then what you do is you take, in this case I'm going to start from the right length, and I'm going to take a deep breath, exhale, and bring my left foot 1 foot length right straight forward from the mid body, and I'm going to lean into it just like this. And if you could see from the video, what this does is it drops my shoulders back and down. And then I squeeze the muscles in my mid-back. And I just hold that for 20 seconds. I come back up, go to the start position, which is sort of the downhill ski position. Now I'll take my left leg, go back 1 foot, meaning this length of my foot. Take a deep breath, exhale, step forward 1 foot. And you see, I'm going right middle of my body. Like my right foot is in the middle of my body, my left foot's in the middle of the back of my body. And I've inhaled as I've done that and lean forward. Exhale, just hold it. So if you can do this, half a dozen times a day, I will guarantee you will change your body and you'll feel a lot better. And then when you're sitting at the computer or doing whatever work you do and you feel those shoulders inching up again and you start to feel the pain in your neck, you remember, oh yeah, I dropped them and bring them back.
Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to this channel. We also made a website called sensorysumo.com. The link is right here. I made a list of products that would be really helpful for your kids and your family to help regulate and work on developmental skills at home. So go ahead and check that website and support this channel.